Hello everyone, this is Tirgaya, and I'm here to talk to you about the weekly vendor weapons from May 30th through June 6th, 2017. Let's start by taking a look at the weekly director. The raid of the week is the Vault of Glass. All challenges active. Go get those Fatebringers. The Challenge of the Elders has small arms and precision kill bonus, so that might be a lot of fun with scout rifles in particular. Moving on, the weekly Nightfall Strike happens to be the Dust Palace, and this has small arms, chaff, match game, and berserk. So this is a great opportunity to bring out those exotic primaries and get to town. Moving on, the Heroic Strike playlist is Solar Burn, Berserk, and Brawler. So Sun Singers, Hammer Titans, you're going to have a good time. Moving on, the weekly story playlist features the story of the Iron Lords, and it is Voidburn and Small Arms, so I expect to see a ton of steel medullas out there. And lastly, the weekly Crucible is Mayhem Rumble. Enjoy yourselves, Guardians. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying my content, or if you find it useful, please consider clicking the like button or even subscribing. If you want to be up to date on all of the stuff that I make sure to hit the little bell so you're always notified. Also, please consider following me on Twitch and on Twitter. First, let's start on the speaker side of the tower and check in with New Monarchy. The first weapon of the week I'd like to draw your attention to is the Assembly 2. I don't like high rate of fire auto rifles, but this is a good one. It's got a reflex sight, high caliber rounds, or quick draw. Probably prefer high caliber rounds myself. It's got perfect balance and rodeo and rangefinder. So probably I would run it straight across the top. The Bad Council looks pretty good this week for PvE. You have extended mag, hammer forged, surrounded, and crowd control. A lot of people don't think about this because surrounded is considered a garbage perk, but it synergizes well with crowd control. So if you've got a bunch of thralls or vandals and you want to crush them real quick, maybe work on a captain or a knight, this is a good way to get into the fight. As you all know, I'm not a great fan of high rate of fire machine guns, but this one's got a good set of perks. You can go with soft ballistics, high caliber rounds, hammer forged, and counterbalance. Check in with the Crucible and Archite 9940. The Palindrome this week is what many consider a god roll. It has the True Sight, Hot Swap, Icarus, Rifle Barrel and Explosive Rounds, and Luck in the Chamber. For myself, I don't like Luck in the Chamber. I don't like my gameplay being determined by random chance. However, it does amazing things. Rifle Barrel is one of the must-have perks in the middle tree for the Palindrome. You always want to maximize range on a hand cannon. Hot Swap is excellent if you're going to use the Palindrome as a primary with which you clean up body shots from, say, a sniper. And Icarus is excellent if you're really using this as a primary and approaching with vertical space. No matter how you play, this Palindrome is a good weapon. Not my ideal weapon, but as I said, many in the community think it will be a god roll. Here's another crowd control shotgun for the week. This one has reinforced barrel. Not super excited about the first column, and it has accurized ballistics. You've also got quick draw here, but you're going to want to go with reinforced barrel for the range. Here, it basically depends on your play style. For a lot of players, the slide shotgun might still be fun, so they'd go with knee pads. If you tend to use your super up close, say Fist of Havoc, this can be really handy as it'll reload and let you finish off anything that survives your fist with your shotgun. Chaotic Neutral is pretty strong this week with Field Choke, Army of One, Take a Knee, Appended Magazine, and Counterbalance. You want to shy away from small bore because it reduces your magazine size, and you don't want to do that on these low magazine, high impact machine guns. Roni 5530 at the Vanguard. Let's see what he's got. This week's Parthian shot is pretty strong. You've got a sure shot sight, which is my favorite on pulse rifles. You've got Outlaw and Feeding Frenzy, which is really just your choice. In the middle column, you have Perfect Balance and Head Seeker. This weapon is just short of a 2-pulse kill. It's like 2 pulse and a bullet. Definitely worth a pickup if you like high-impact pulse rifles. I killed him with a teacup. This week's teacup is not the best it's been, but I do like it. It's got a true sight. You've got mulligan and feeding frenzy, fitted stock or high caliber rounds, and hot swap. Fitted stock is not going to really give you much of an increase here. You're barely going to notice it. So I would go with high caliber rounds. And mulligan is very interesting because it procs more often than you think on sidearms. So definitely worth a strong look. But if you don't like it, feeding frenzy is a good choice. This week's Bone Crusher is pretty interesting. It's got soft ballistics, hip fire, braced frame and appended magazine, and rangefinder. I would shy away from braced frame because you don't want to reduce the magazine size on this kind of weapon. Similarly, I'm not super interested in reload speed. So I'd probably run hip fire, appended magazine, and rangefinder together with soft ballistics. Arak Jalal and Dead Orbit. Let's see what he's got. This week's Screamophile is pretty interesting. For those of you who don't know, this is a Monte Carlo style impact rate of fire weapon. This week we have Sure Shot, we have Flared Magwell and Quick Draw, Small Bore and Crowd Control, and Hidden Hand. Now, the way I'm normally going to tell you to run this is Hidden Hand, Crowd Control, Flared Magwell, and Sure Shot. So just a zigzag. However, look at the tooltip. Even though it says reduced magazine side and slower reload, you'll notice that the tooltip actually represents an up arrow and the magazine size. Worth checking out. If it increases the magazine size, or if it doesn't hurt it too much, small bore might be a good choice. But I would probably go with crowd control for the most part. This week's Last Stitch is kind of interesting. It's another crowd control shotgun. This one has knee pads on it, hip fire, and extended mag. Generally speaking, I recommend extended mag. However, if you're going to be sliding around with those knee pads, hip fire might be interesting to you. You also have accurized ballistics, which is going to give you just a little bit of a notch up on impact. The Unto Dust 00 is not a great launcher based on its base statistics. This week, though, we have tracking, tripod, and field scout. Combined with probably I'd have to go with hard launch, and you have a decent PvE rocket launcher for void burn activities. Now let's check out Future War Cult and Lakshmi 2. This week's Whale is an almost Fatebringer. You've got Sure Shot, Explosive Rounds, Hammer Forged, and Firefly. Definitely worth a look. This week's Waltz is also worth your attention. It comes with the reflex sight, which improves aim assist. It has high caliber rounds, perfect balance, and glass half full. Outlaw is great perk always, but you don't need it so much on the Waltz. And Quick Draw, this is your primary. You're going to use this as a primary. This archetype did get nerfed, but it's still worth your attention. This week's Wounded doesn't have any scopes I like, but with explosive rounds, perfect balance, and hidden hand, this should be able to make work of enemies like Shanks in endgame content. The Wormwood has not been as good as it has been in recent weeks, but you still have a solid roll. You have True Sight, Quick Draw, Cascade, and Reactive Reload, which is how I'd run this weapon. Well, Guardians, that's about it for weapons this week. What do you think? I covered a lot of them, so hopefully I didn't miss one you liked. That's going to do it for me this week. Thank you very much for watching. My info is up on screen, so you can find me around the net if you like. On Twitch, on Twitter, and of course right here on YouTube. Please consider hitting the subscribe and like buttons below if you enjoyed this content and found it useful to encourage me to make more. Thank you once again, and I'll see you Starside Guardians.